Welcome to tonight's poll position with me, Kevin Maguire. When Labour's way ahead in the polls, could Keir Starmer be bolder? When as the Home Secretary James not very cleverly lost the plot when he's criticising a Banksy art installation, and Ed Davey, after his bungee jump, what is left for the embarrassing dad of leading the Liberals? Hello, it's only 3 days now to polling day, July the 4th, Thursday, July the 4th. Could it be Independence Day from the Conservative Party? Well, about a quarter of votes will have already been posted by mail in that period. I know some people haven't got theirs, but most people have, and they will be sent in. And the polls, the opinion polls, are still showing huge Labour leads. But the Tories are saying that's terrible, terrible. Shouldn't have big Labour leads. It's all right when they have Conservative big leads, but not Labour big leads. I'm somebody who thinks the votes nationally should sort of be reflected broadly in Parliament, but not the Tories. They think big majorities for the Conservatives are okay, big majorities for Labour are wrong. Well, let's see what happens on Thursday, how they react on Friday, when I suspect they will be crying into their breakfast cereal. Well, tonight I'm delighted that we're joined by Faiza Shaheen, hello, who's standing as an independent in Chingford and Woodford after she was, in my view, wrongly blocked by Labour from standing in her home seat, where at the last general election, which 2019 wasn't a good night nationally for Labour, she reduced the Conservative majority for Ian Duncan Smith down to 1,262. He was there for the taking, I believe. I was like, how are you? How's your campaign going?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it wasn't the campaign we were thinking we were going to run, but it's been going well, and yeah, just a bit tired. It's been a whirlwind, very much an emotional roller coaster, but I've had a lot of community support, and I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, have you come to terms with what was a brutal ditching by email after a short video call in which tweets were unearthed from years ago? None of them I thought looking anyway conclusive to stop you running. I've had many conversations over with you. We've done events together. I've just never detected anything that would justify you standing as a Labour candidate.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were really angry about the way I've been treated, and I don't know that I've got over it. I think I just had to get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult when you put your heart into something and you put so much time and effort into something. And myself and so many volunteers have been working to win the seat for Labour for so long, and none of that work is acknowledged. Even if they don't want to acknowledge me, they could at least acknowledge what volunteers have done here. And many of them have left the Labour Party and were just appalled and have joined me in this independent campaign. And it's been quite something. Even exciting things have happened, like Ronnie O'Sullivan came out and supported me. We've got a pool night tonight with him, actually, trying to do things differently, trying to make politics more accessible. So it's been fun in that way.
Yeah. This is in no way an intention to gaslight you in any way. But there could be now a split vote, and if you're Ian Duncan Smith, he's more likely to survive. I mean, you might do it, Labour might do it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I did think about that a lot. Making the decision to run independent was a really tricky one, but so many people wrote to me here and said, we're really upset with the way you've been treated, but we're also really upset that Labour has parachuted in a candidate that was on the NEC, that is doesn't know us at all. It's just this contempt for our community. And I think we really had this sense of wanting to stand up for ourselves. And absolutely, we need to beat Ian Duncan Smith. I'm so glad we're getting rid of the Tories this week. I mean, I've been working on this since 2010, even before I ran. I used to work at the New Economics Foundation and do loads of work on policy, and, been looking at austerity for so long and arguing against it. And I'm so glad that that rain is coming to the end, but it's a shame that the Labour Party has been so hell-bent on getting rid of any voices, vaguely on the left. I'm no Che Guevara, I'm an academic from London School of Economics. It's that's disappointing, and I think we're going to have a huge majority Labour government, and we need some voices that can push against some of their policies, that can try and be a voice for more progressive policies, and can be at other times supportive, but also form the coalitions across parties. So that's the whole spiel that we're giving. I think there is an opportunity here, and I think it's all up for play, really. I mean, it's so interesting doing the campaign, having switched from Labour. There's just not a lot of enthusiasm out there. It's quite interesting. There's not a lot of enthusiasm out there for voting. Obviously, not voting Tory, but also not voting Labour. I mean, it's a funny one. There's a lot of despondency, and I think running independent, showing that we can do things differently, having the community so involved in the campaign, has been really helpful in that regard, and bringing in people that often don't vote.
Yeah. To critique the Labour manifesto from the left, what are you standing on in your platform that isn't in that document?
Yeah, so there are a number of things that I think the Labour manifesto misses out on. There's a broader point here, and I'm an economist by training. There's a broader point here that they don't consider, that their kind of ambition is too low, and especially the money and what they're saying they're going to use. I mean, just as an example of that, I think it's something like 7 billion they're saying they're going to raise. I mean, the NHS backlog alone is meant to cost 12 billion. So it's really small fry. And of course, the Institute of Fiscal Studies has come out with this. The figure is trivial compared to what we need. And so there's an overall point here about needing voices that push us to go bolder, that bring out these economic points, saying that this idea that we don't have any money is just not the case, and also how we redistribute funding, how we tax different parts of the economy and of society in order to raise more money, but also in general what we can do with the Bank of England, etc. So those sorts of different ideas, I'm sort of pitching that as a different voice. But there's specific things that I would love to talk more about, if I'm lucky enough to get this mandate from my community, which is electoral reform, proportional representation. I was told I wasn't allowed to talk about that as a Labour candidate. I had to say it wasn't a priority. I think people's voices mattering and their votes counting does really matter. I think we can see what's happening in France, and in relation to that also, like, growing inequality in this country. I've spent 20 years working on issues of inequality. It's getting worse. There was a report out yesterday showing that it will get worse still unless there's a dramatic turnaround in our policy, and I don't see that in the manifesto. And all of these things could result in the rise of a far right, and I think that should concern all of us. And so the rhetoric around immigration, what we do on benefits, and of course getting rid of the 2-child benefit cap. We need progressive voices in Parliament. We need, where the current Labour leadership is very much about kind of incremental change, and often play into some of the same ideas as the Tories say on immigration. We need some voices that push up against that.
So you be in the that sphere where, look, there's room for a more hefty change, while those running the party say no, because we're not offering too much change is why we can get wide support.
Yeah, I mean, there's a danger of that, and that this is it. Labour should be a broad church. I mean, that they got rid of me in the way they did, I mean, and like the different standards applied to me as opposed to other candidates is a sign that they don't want to have those voices. They don't want to have that broad church. And, I think it's just important to have that in any democracy, that we have those different views. The climate crisis is such a big one, and that the proposals got watered down. This is investment. This is the thing, we really need to make that differentiation. One of the fundamental flaws in what Labour has been saying is that, well, we'll wait for the economy to grow and then we'll do public investment. Actually, public investment leads to better growth, right? Because we have a bridge here, Broadmead Road Bridge, that has fallen apart and they've had to close it. Look, if that bridge is closed and it continues to be closed, then why are businesses going to invest around there? So you need the public investment to bring in the business investment. So, there's these fundamental issues with the way in which the Labour manifesto and Labour offer is being sold right now, and we need voices that can push up against that in Parliament. And also, there's a fundamental thing about the way we pick our politicians. I'm standing in my community, and I do that holding my heart because it means so much to me. These are my schools. That's the hospital I was born in. You know, I live here, and the idea that local doesn't matter, that communities don't get to choose that one of their own to represent them, that's a fundamental problem. And that's why people feel that politicians are so far away from their own lives. And, you know, it's a faceless kind of machine politics that I just think is not good for democracy and is not good for engagement.
You mentioned migration and the rise of the far right demonisation. At Glastonbury, I don't know if you saw, there was a Banksy art installation passed around, an inflatable boat, people in it, in life jackets. One of them was a child, meant to represent, I believe, people crossing the channel. Now, it went on a sea of hands. I'm pretty certain that was intended to show people are welcome, treated as humans, while James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, has gone in at the deep end, calling it vile, not funny, claiming it is celebrating criminal gangs. Is this just part of a sort of polarization in a debate that is deeply poisonous?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's showing humanity. I mean, it's just showing that there's people like us that, you know, in difficult circumstances, and they come on these boats and, you know, they could die. And I think it's actually really powerful to see these hands holding up these people, and that sense of like us looking after each other. I mean, what the Tories have done and what they're trying to play into very heavily right now is to try and get back those voters who are moving towards reform, and it's pushing them more to the right. But I think there is going to be more room for that if inequality continues, if people continue not to be able to access public services and housing, then it's very easy for the far right to come in and blame immigration. And, you know, if Labour doesn't turn this around and turn it around and show change quite quickly, then we will see more and more of those voices, and we will see, unfortunately, people turning towards them. And so, you know, this is a big, scary time for multiple reasons, and I'm worried that Labour are not going to be as bold as they need to be.
Do you get a bit windy like me as a sort of lefty liberal when Keir Starmer talks about Bangladeshis and, you know, sending those who are here on
Yeah,
you know, lawfully back home? And
there's been too many things like that. I know they said it was misinformation, like when he said on LBC about the question if Israel has the right to stop water and electricity, and he said they do have that right. And that went, you know, I'm from a Muslim background, that went around through all the WhatsApp groups in the Muslim community, and everyone was so angry. And you know, we were told as candidates that we had to say that he was answering a different question. And you know, there's been too many instances like this, as well as like so-called, you know, Labour spokespeople unofficially saying, oh, well, getting rid of Muslims is like getting rid of fleas. There's been too many times that sort of thing has happened. Plus, one of the tweets that I was called out on was talking about my experiences of Islamophobia in the party. I was told that was undermining Labour's electoral success. That was one of the reasons I was kicked out. And so I think it's happened too many times, and I've heard it internally. There's a problem here about the way in which this leadership uses its rhetoric towards certain groups and singles out particular groups. And I was told when I said that the community is going to be really angry about Labour's Gaza position, and not just the Muslim community, people in general who care about humanity, I was told that people will forget by the time it comes to the election. You know, this dismissing, I mean, I don't think they have forgotten, by the way.
yeah.
So it does make me very wary, and honestly, I felt very wary and alone at times in those candidate conversations.
Yeah, no, thank you. And just finally, before you go, I'm glad, you know, great you've got a pool night. And have you ever thought going bungee jumping like Ed Davey, the Liberal Democrat leader, was living his best life as an embarrassing dad?
Yeah, I can see why people do stunts, but yeah, that would not appeal to me. I would be way too scared.
I know, it's up in the car. I don't know what the insurance must have been for that. There he goes. I mean, that's
wow. Yeah, that's one way of getting a lot of press. But yeah, no, I'm really excited about people are going to come tonight, hopefully different crowds, and we're going to pull 3 names out of the hat, and 3 people get to play Ronnie O'Sullivan at
Oh, really? Oh, blimey. Yeah.
the Mount 12 in Chinkford, if anyone's listening, yeah, which is just by where I grew up. So yeah, I'm all up for doing politics differently, but yeah, I wouldn't do a bungee jump, definitely not.
Well, have a great night, and Faiza, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back the same place, same time tomorrow on Pole Position. Thank you.